Hello, my name is Miriam Mueller and I am presenting today about open access publishing and its implications for librarians. Let's begin by defining open access. At its heart, open access is a type of publishing. It refers to scholarly articles with certain important characteristics. The articles must be free of charge, accessible online, and free of most copyright restrictions. This type of article is found primarily in open access journals and institutional repositories. Unlike the traditional system of fee-based journals, anyone can download the full text of an open access article for free and use it with appropriate author citations. In general, open access articles have fewer copyright restrictions than fee-based journal articles. There are two models of open access publishing, green versus gold. Gold open access is also known as open access publishing. This means that a journal publishes their current and past volumes on the internet at no cost to the public. Instead of charging fees to subscribers, these journals have a wide variety of funding methods. Green open access is often known as self-archiving. It means that an article was published on a personal or institutional repository. Repositories are collections of materials made public by individuals, or more commonly, by universities and colleges. Often articles in repositories were previously published elsewhere. Open access is a new type of publishing that has arisen in the last 20 years. Let's take a look at why it appeared. Libraries are the traditional method of accessing journal articles. Libraries pay the subscription cost for scholarly journals, and the members of that library's community access the journals through a library portal. Over the last couple of decades, there has been a steadily increasing outcry from the library and scholarly communities about the high costs of journal subscriptions. Even as library budgets continue to shrink, journal prices seem to steadily increase. High costs are preventing more and more libraries from being able to pay for journals. Of particular note are smaller libraries and those in third world countries, which are often priced out entirely. And of course, individuals can rarely afford to pay for journals, making it necessary for them to access them through a library. However, the high costs of journal subscriptions are not the only reason for the creation of open access. Another concern is the problem of double billing. Some scholars point out that student tuition and/or taxes already pay for the cost of most academic and scientific research. The commercialization of journals by publishers is considered by many to be charging for work that was already paid for by students and the public. In addition to this, some scholars think that publishers are charging for the work of others. Scholars do the work of writing and editing journals, but the publishers don't pay them for these tasks. Many scholars believe that publishers shouldn't charge nearly so much for simply printing and distributing the work of others. The question is, why should librarians care about open access? Why should it matter? The first reason is that there are now thousands of open access journals and millions of articles published in repositories. Many reputable and important journals are no longer accessible via subscriptions. This is not an insignificant portion of the overall research available. Librarians who do collect and development need to know that this research is out there, free of charge, so they can provide access to their patrons. In addition, it is obvious that open access journals and repositories can help libraries make the most of their budgets because they are free. Another reason that librarians need to be concerned about open access is that it is becoming more and more successful. The impact of open access on collection development, budgets, publishing, and more is only going to increase. The reason why open access is becoming more successful is that it allows more people to access the works of scholars and scientific researchers. Many of these authors need their work to be as influential as possible because of tenure and reputation concerns. They have begun embracing open access because research indicates that publishing an article this way instead of through a fee-based journal increases the scholarly impact of their work. So the final question is, how can librarians take part? There are a variety of ways that librarians can take part in making open access a success. Although open access could exist without librarians, librarians can greatly contribute to its success alongside scholars, researchers, funders, and universities. The most important thing that librarians can do to help open access is to increase awareness of the movement. This means, first of all, that librarians must educate themselves about what open access is and what it could mean for their libraries and the reading public. The second most important thing librarians can do is educate others about open access. That might mean other librarians, or it could mean promoting open access to scholars, researchers, universities, and colleges. Many people are involved in making open access more visible already. For example, Open Access Week is in its 6th year. This annual event is designed to increase awareness of the movement and educate people about what they can do and how they can help. Another way librarians can promote and be involved in open access is by publishing open access articles themselves. The more authors that choose to publish open access, the more successful that open access becomes. Many library journals are open access already, and librarians can choose to self-archive their works or self-publish them in an institutional repository and make them available that way. One important thing that librarians can do is catalog open access journals and articles. This makes open access journals available through traditional research means right alongside fee-based journals. Since library catalogs are where many students, researchers, and scholars first search for articles, each library that provides this type of enhanced access to open access art journals and articles increases the reach of open access. Since it is free, there is no barrier to providing this other than staff time and effort. The Directory of Open Access Journals is the organization that makes it possible for librarians to catalog open access journals. They provide records for library catalogs in the same way that fee-based journals offer records to librarians. The directory is available in multiple languages to offer access around the world. There is one more way that libraries can become active in the open access movement, and that is by becoming digital publishers. Although many people do not think of libraries as publishers, it is in fact a time-honored occupation of libraries. One way for a library to become an open access publisher is by publishing a journal or two. Many libraries are already publishers, and if they become open access publishers, this could greatly extend the reach of their publications. The other way for libraries to become open access publishers is by creating an institutional repository. Repositories are collections of materials that are related to the institution of which they are a part. Common software that is used for institutional repositories includes ePrints, Digital Commons, and DSpace. In conclusion, open access is a movement that was born of a concern for scholarly communication. Librarians should be aware of it because it has implications for collection development. Knowing about open access means providing better access to scholarly materials, and it also means relieving some of the ever-increasing costs of journal subscriptions. More than this, librarians can participate and grow the reach of open access through their own publishing and through encouraging their libraries to become digital publishers. Since open access is here to stay, become knowledgeable about it and pass the information on.